I'm Jim Gary at Batilipe's workshop. We have a fairly good-sized koi pond, and the air pump failed a while back, so I repair the pump in this video. If you're interested, there are links to some of my other videos in the description below. So please like and subscribe. Now let's get on with the video. My wife built this koi pond about 4 years ago. She did it all by herself, including the planning, the digging, installing the liner, and all of the equipment. It has a filter with a UV light, a skimmer, a waterfall, and a big air pump. We have one really large koi and a few smaller ones and a whole bunch of goldfish. We lost another large koi in the hurricanes last year when both the water pump and the air pump failed from getting so wet. About a month ago, the air pump started slowing down and eventually didn't work anymore, so this video is about repairing and reinstalling the air pump to be sure the pond water is fully saturated with air. So this is my wife's pond pump, and it's really hard to read, but it's made by Kolair, K-O-L-A-I-R, and it's the KA20 model. But this particular one is sold by the pond guys, so it's got their logo on it, but they don't make it. And it uses this weird air stone. This is just a weight, and the air comes out of here, and the sleeve slides over it, and it's got teensy tiny little perforations in it. And I guess it's supposed to be clamped at either end. But my wife would be happy just to have the air bubbling out of here, to tell you the truth. So I took it apart once. It was over my head. I couldn't figure out what was going on with it. But let's take a look and see what it does right now. So I'm going to put this tube in here and plug it in and just see if any bubbles come out at all. So as you can see right now, there are some bubbles coming out. But what happened is when I put it back in the pond, it stopped. It couldn't pump all the way to the bottom of the pond, which is about 4 feet deep. It needs servicing. I took it apart, I looked at the parts, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I did a little research, and I actually called the pond guy, and he sent me the part. So let's take a look at that part. So here's the box. It was 30 bucks, I think, 32 bucks plus shipping. Catalog. They want me to share a review on social media. Here's if I need to return it. And of course, in this great big box, here's the tiny little parts that we need. So this is the kit. Diaphragms here appear to be what needs to be replaced. So I've unplugged this, so I'm going to go ahead and take it apart and see what we can do. For working on small things like this, I like to use my little 4-volt Ryobi, and because it's a screwdriver, so I can set the torque pretty low so I don't strip any plastic, any screws going into plastic. But let's go ahead and take this apart. There's the lid. And by the way, there's a filter in here, and there's also a rubber membrane in there. And as I recall, my wife had cleaned the filter already. Let's just take a look. Yep. Oh, it's full of ants. Bet you those are fire ants. I bet you I'm going to be spraying those guys. Boy, got them quick. I don't see any inside there, so I'm going to give a couple sprays just in case. And now I've got to clean all this off. And I will definitely clean my hands afterwards real carefully. She had a huge fire ant nest. That was why she left it for so long. She left it not running. We were depending on the waterfall to circulate the water enough to aerate for the koi, which was fine. We thought we killed off all those fire ants. Apparently not. I just want to get the ant poison off as much as I can. So I'm going to be working here. So I'll go wash my hands and I'll be right back. So let's just go and put the filter cover. Oh, the ants are still in there. Man. Well, I can tell you last week, she thought it was fire ants, and I took the whole thing apart as far as I could and didn't see any fire ants in here at all, and I took the filter assembly apart. Okay, so I think we're fire ant free for now. So let's get out this kit and take a look. These obviously go here, so I'll lay them out. And let's put this filter back on. So this membrane goes over. And I've got the little Ryobi set at 4 out of 20 for the torque setting, just so I don't screw up anything. That's fine. So that's back in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this apart and see what other parts we have, and I can tell you right here. Here's what we're looking for. These are the new ones. Really thin little gaskets. This thing has a big side and a little side, and it looks like it's keyed one way with this hole here. And then there's this little button thing, so I think that's one set. So it's the diaphragm, the button, those two washers or whatever they are that have to go back in. Okay, so we're just going to take this off first. So I've just got to get this part off here. There it comes. Just try not to tear it. Okay, so that'll be ready. And there's just 2 screws, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. All the screws look identical. So I'm going to take this apart, take it out, and keep everything in its proper order. But the diaphragm is clearly ripped. That's what was going on. And there are these little silicone things here as well. But this diaphragm is what the problem was. And I can see that little button is in there with the rounded side. See, there's a rounded side goes in toward the motor. So I've got to get that nut off of there. It's kind of funny. I looked it up and it turns out it's a 5.5 millimeter. Bigger than a quarter, smaller than a 3/8. And I have almost every tool imaginable, but I didn't have a 5.5 millimeter socket. So I just used my good Stanley adjustable wrench because it's got really tight square things. I got it loose. So let's see what comes off. There's a nut, then there's a washer, and that button. Concave side went in, and here's what's left of the washer, and here's what's left of the diaphragm, and then here's the inner washer. So I guess to put it back, I just reversed that, so put in this inner seal. There's a slot here, so make sure you can see that there. So that's where this side goes. So this thing just goes back and, wow, it's magnetic. There it is. So that's in. Then I think it goes here. This little plastic thing goes in. And then this goes in, concave side in. Then I'm guessing the washer. Try to get the nut started. Having to compress everything. So I took it apart again. I think the problem is it can be pushed in and out. So when I was pushing it in, I've got to be gentle with it so it doesn't push the whole thing out of the way. So I've got the inner washer, whatever that is. Now I want to get this on without, there. Now I'm pulling it, trying to get enough sticking out so that it'll be easier to connect. So now the outer protective, whatever it is, goes on. Then this thing goes on and it goes in the concave side first. I'm going to try putting the nut on without the washer first, see if that'll draw the whole bolt out. Give me a grip. So now if I can unscrew this without pushing it back. Bet you that'll leave just enough room to get that washer on there. I use this method a lot actually. Ah, that works. I think I'll be able to have no trouble now. There, she's going. Now I don't have a clue as to how much it's supposed to be tightened. It feels like it's getting kind of firm, so I'm going to leave it right there. Now put this piece back on. Put this on it. Run that outer, I think it just acts like a clamp. There. Now we just have to put those screws back in. I'm going to set this down to about 8. It's slightly out of alignment, so I'll loosen the others up. But you can see, I can see in this hole, you probably can't, but the hole's just not quite aligned right. Goes. Okay. Just torquing these down to whatever the 8 setting on this Ryobi is. Okay, so that side's done. The diaphragm on the other side was also torn. And by the way, it did come with instructions here. They're pretty good. It even shows you the order of assembly of everything. So now this gasket has to go on and somehow got looped around the table. It's just got to go in that groove, and I know if you don't get this in right, it'll be noisy. And this also seals it. So it's sealed everywhere but up here. There. Trick is just to get it seated in that groove. Call that good. It's in the groove all the way around. So let's get this on while we still can. There we go. Flip it over. Get these screws in. Turn this back down lower, because this is definitely plastic going into plastic. I learned that on rebreathers. Rebreathers, a lot of plastic Delrin usually, and a lot of metal connectors. And you always had to be careful that you didn't strip something. Okay, I think we're good there. I'm going to hook this air supply back up to here. So let's see what happens. Now that's bubbling. So that fixed it. One thing I want to try, it had this membrane around it so that it didn't just bubble out that hole. There's tiny little perforations, many rows of them. You almost need a microscope to see, but let's slide this on. It goes on like that, and I think there's supposed to be a hose clamp, but let's just see what happens without the hose clamp. Now it just shoots out the back. Just for fun, I'm going to put a hose clamp here and here, because it sure looks like there's supposed to be one. So I'm just going to plug it in, attach it to the hose, and see. I know the hose is still out there. If it bubbles, I'll go and put the stone on it. So you can see it's bubbling like crazy, so I'm going to get that air stone on there, and we'll be done. So I've got my swim trunks on. Nothing that can't get wet, I hope. I can get out there. I know it's very slippery down here. There we go. Once you get past the rocks, it's easier. Let's see if I can find that. Here it is. So I'm going to put the air stone on it. All the koi are happy to see me. There we are. Yeah, that mellows the bubbles a little bit. I put an extra tie wrap on that one side, so it seems to be doing pretty well. Okay, there we are. I'd call that a wrap. Well, I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching. Most of my videos are activities I do in my workshop, and if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. Bye.